a little bit about the tactics that Senegal used, and they just did not work. It didn't work against anyone necessarily long term against Team USA. However, it really didn't work when Caitlin Clark was on the floor. Like, if you look at the plus minuses of this team, Ryan Howard, Caitlin Clark, Monique Billings, in fairness, Jackie Young didn't really play much with Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Plum 35. Most of these were the players that played a lot of time with Caitlin Clark and Caitlin Clark on the floor.
The plan sounded perfect on paper. Honestly, if basketball games were decided by whiteboard strategies and fiery locker room speeches, the coaches of the Senegal women's national basketball team would probably be celebrating a Nobel Prize in defensive genius right now. But then the game actually started, and the moment Caitlin Clark touched the ball, that brilliant plan began to fall apart. Traps came from everywhere, double teams closed in, and defenders pressed her the entire length of the court. Yet somehow Clark made it all look shockingly easy. Instead of slowing her down, the pressure only made the highlight reel grow. Passes slipped through impossible gaps, shots dropped from ridiculous distance, and suddenly the defense that looked unstoppable on the whiteboard looked completely helpless on the court.
I thought Ryan, really got our offense jump started with her ability to knock down the three-point shot. I thought Caitlin's playmaking ability, really kind of got us going. We got into a nice rhythm in that second quarter and scored a lot of points. So a lot of good performances from today. Pleased to get the win and looking forward to tomorrow.
What if I told you an entire team came in with the most brutal defensive game plan imaginable? Full court presses, constant blitzes, double teams from every angle, all designed to stop one player. But the moment Caitlin Clark stepped on the floor against Senegal women's national basketball team, the whole strategy collapsed in seconds. Every trap failed. Every double team looked useless. And suddenly the defense that was supposed to shut her down looked like amateur hour. Clark wasn't just beating the defense, she was rewriting the game in real time. So the real question is, how does one player break an entire defense without even breaking a sweat? Is it pure skill? Is it fearless confidence? Or is Caitlin Clark literally a glitch in the basketball matrix? And the biggest question of all, can anyone actually stop her?
The GOAT back. We got the GOAT back. Caitlin Clark is back, baby. Back like she never left. Tell me y'all saw that first three-pointer. It hit a little more rim than usual, but it went in. Caitlin Clark put on an absolute show off the bench. Off the bench for Team USA. We're going to get into all of that, but she was spectacular in her senior national team debut. We got to break it all down, man.
Unfortunately for them, basketball isn't played on a strategy board. At some point, real players have to step onto a hardwood court and execute the plan. And on the other side of that court stood Caitlin Clark, which is basically the basketball equivalent of trying to stop a hurricane with a traffic cone. Because to be fair, the Senegal women's national basketball team actually did a lot of things right. The pressure was constant, the traps were aggressive, and the defense never stopped moving. On paper, it looked like the exact blueprint you'd design if your mission was to slow down the most dangerous shooter on the floor. But here's the problem. When the player you're trying to stop sees the game 2 steps ahead of everyone else, even the best defensive blueprint can start to look like a rough draft. And that's exactly what happened the moment Clark started turning pressure into opportunities.
Right.
God damn! Folks, there's gonna be no 2026 season. If what we just saw was any precursor to what Caitlin Clark is going to do in year 3, you know what? I don't blame Brianna Stewart, Brianna Turner, Nafisa Collier, Aneka Ogwumike if they say themselves, we can't get beat like this. This girl is coming for revenge. She's coming with a chip on her shoulder. It's going to be a reckoning. As my mom would say, it's going to be a rude awakening. Year 3 with a healthy Caitlin Clark.
Yes, you read that right. In a game that eventually looked like a scoreboard glitch, there was actually a method to the madness. The Senegal women's national basketball team coach came in with a plan that made perfect sense. If your goal was to make life an absolute nightmare for Team USA's ball handlers. Full court presses? Blitzes on every drive? Double teams that would make lesser players crumble? On paper, it was textbook brilliance. Every tactic was designed to grind the offense to a halt, force turnovers, and dominate the pace. But here's the kicker. The moment Caitlin Clark touched the ball, all of that careful planning went out the window, and chaos turned into her personal highlight reel.
Handlers.
So Senegal were a physical team. They had a bit of athleticism, and I thought that I don't think there was a lot of trouble when it comes to, like, say, Team USA dealing with the defense of Senegal. However, the guards struggled. So if you watched early in this game, like the starting five was Chelsea Gray, Kalia Copper, Angel Reese, Jackie Young, and Diar Gambi. Like, within 35 seconds, they stopped. Chelsea Gray stopped taking the ball up.
The strategy was brutal on paper and even more brutal in execution. Pressure the guards, blitz the dribble, turn every possession into a wrestling match. Make the Americans feel like they accidentally wandered into a rugby game instead of basketball. And for about 30 seconds it worked. Those opening moments looked exactly like what the Senegal women's national basketball team staff had imagined. The defense pressed full court. Bodies were flying everywhere. Arms were reaching like they were trying to snatch a loose balloon at a birthday party. Guards suddenly felt less like basketball players and more like suspects in a high-stakes airport interrogation. The pressure was relentless. The physicality was aggressive. If the goal was to make Team USA uncomfortable, then Senegal nailed it immediately. Even seasoned stars like Chelsea Gray looked annoyed by the constant harassment. Chaos escalated so fast that within the first minute, ball handling duties started swapping like a game of hot potato. At one point, it looked like everyone except the actual point guard was running the floor. For a moment, it was the kind of confusion every defensive coach dreams about. Senegal was blitzing the ball, trapping in corners, forcing players toward the sideline, and acting like a team that had collectively decided personal space was a myth. But then, as expected, one player stepped onto the floor and turned all that chaos into her personal playground.
When Caitlin Clark checked in for Team USA versus Senegal, the whole game changed. The whole energy shifted because Caitlin Clark is the face of the league, out there making everybody look better. Assist after assist after assist after assist, cashing threes, making everybody better. The gravity, getting people open.
But here's where the entire plan ran into one extremely inconvenient problem. The moment Caitlin Clark stepped on the floor, the defensive strategy didn't just struggle, it completely crumbled. And not because the plan was bad. On the contrary, it was actually brilliant. Blitz the ball handlers, force traps, get physical, classic underdog strategy. It's the basketball equivalent of throwing sand in someone's eyes during a duel and hoping for a lucky escape. The problem? Clark didn't just survive the chaos, she turned it into a highlight reel. Every time Senegal sent two defenders her way, the result was always the same. Chaos for Senegal, open lanes for her teammates, and the terrifying realization that they might have accidentally triggered a basketball cheat code. Clark doesn't just handle pressure, she weaponizes it. Blitz near half court? She doesn't panic. She doesn't retreat. She doesn't dribble frantically like she's searching for a bailout. Instead, she executes a calm escape dribble, slides out of the trap, and suddenly the defense is in the worst possible scenario. Two defenders locked on her, the rest of the floor wide open, teammates sprinting toward the basket like they just discovered free pizza at the other end of the court. That's how traps are supposed to backfire. And backfire they did. One swing pass, a quick skip to the wing, and suddenly someone had an uncontested layup while Senegal could only watch in disbelief.
Layup.
I just watched Team USA play against Senegal in FIBA's World Cup qualifiers in Puerto Rico right now. Paige Beckers, Angel Reese, and Caitlin Clark on the court made me feel the most patriotic I felt. It actually felt like Avengers assembling.
Sometimes it didn't even require a second pass. The opening appeared instantly and it kept happening over and over again. Blitz Clark? The defense collapses. Double team Clark? Someone else has a completely free lane. Pressure Clark? Suddenly the offense looks like a perfectly choreographed fast break drill. At a certain point, the Senegal defense hit a philosophical crisis. Stop trapping her and she could shoot. Keep trapping her and she could pass, opening the floor for everyone else. The choices boiled down to, get burned slowly or get burned quickly. Neither option looked good. This is where the difference between a great player and a game-breaking player becomes painfully obvious. Several Team USA players were more talented than their opponents, but Clark wasn't just better than her defender. She made the defensive strategy itself completely irrelevant. Other players beat Senegal because they were more skilled. Clark beat Senegal because she made their entire system useless. That distinction is everything. Take the blitz defense, for example. Senegal used it effectively against other players. Even highly skilled guards occasionally stumbled under pressure. Rushed passes, awkward dribbles, brief confusion. That was exactly what the coach had hoped for. But Clark? She treated the same pressure like a puzzle she had solved weeks ago. The trap forms? She already anticipates it. Defenders lean too far? She redirects the play. The defense collapses? She already knows exactly where the ball needs to go. In short, the more the defense tried to stop her, the more she turned every plan into her personal highlight reel.